pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop.
And we are back this week with your Purple Pants Podcast Pitstop coverage of Amazing Race Season 37, Episode 10. And I am so happy to be here with my ever so dedicated, time-traveling, Amazing Race winner, Miss Brooke Camhi. Miss Brooke, what's up? Where are you this week? And tell the posse how dedicated you are to our podcast.
There is nowhere else I'd rather be. It is midnight in Ireland, and we are in the hotel room. Someone might be sleeping with headphones on, but you know me, I will not miss a podcast. If I'm on my honeymoon, if it's the day of my wedding, if it's Thanksgiving morning, or if it's Ireland vacation. So here we are. Apologies for the pajamas and the glasses, but you're getting what you're getting, and we're doing our best. So hello.
Yes. And we had episode 10, which I think was I used chef's kiss last night. So let me say, I think was a pig's behind. Is that a term they use for endearment? No.
It might be. I've never heard it.
Okay. Well, I think this week's episode was
a pig's behind.
Like, isn't like you kiss a pig's behind? Isn't that like
what?
Okay, I don't know where that came from, but I thought this episode was really, really great. I think this season is amazing. What I loved about this episode was that there was we're down to our final 5 teams, right? And
I'm just now looking it up to see if it's a thing. And it just sent me a bunch of pictures of
a pig's bottom. Okay. But what I'm saying is, like, we have our final 5 teams now, right? And I really think that they're the top of the crop. And if you made it to, like, we're going into the final 2 episodes. And so if you made it to the top 5, I love the fact that we have this equalizer, right? Where it doesn't matter what time you started off at, right? You all are starting off at the same place. And so it really opens the door. And, I'm rooting for a Han and a Holden as a dark horse. I'm rooting for Mark and Brett. And so this really gives them the opportunity.
You can stop rooting for them because it didn't go great this week. Although I will say last week I said they were going to win. And so let's see who I think is going to win this week, because they'll be going home next week if I have my plans right. I'm not doing well for my guesses.
Well, I mean, we want everyone to win. So it's like whoever wins, I think that we will be really happy with. But again, I just love how competitive. I love how close it is. And again, the attention to detail. If Brooke has ever done a TED Talk this season, is read your clues, is pay attention to the details. It really all is so important. And so I thought that this episode just was so great and the editors did a great job. I didn't know who was up. I didn't know who was down. I mean, obviously Jonathan was yelling. That's going to be in every episode.
Yeah. So let's just make me big to start. I'm just going to get this out of the way. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's call a pig a pig. No, like a spade a spade. I don't know what just
Oh, okay. Sorry. Forgot what the gibbet means. Hold on, where you at? Okay, not you, me.
Hi, my name is Brooke Camhi. I was at season 29 of The Amazing Race. Welcome to my TED Talk. Look, I ran the race with a stranger, so we didn't really know each other. But all of these people are running the race with someone that you would say, love. Be kind to your partner. There's no reason to not be kind to the person you're running this race with, because it will affect their mental status. It will affect the relationship. It will affect how you run the race. Kindness is, winning, and then kindness are the most important things you can have on The Amazing Race. I think we all know what we're talking about. We all know who we're talking about. I'm going to sort of leave it there because this is a positive space. Be kind. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I mean, I do agree with you. I love me my Jonathan. And I'm gonna always defend my Jonathan. I got glasses on, like his new glasses and hat that he had this episode. But this was a little hard to watch him be very frustrated and kind of blame everything on Anna this week. The only thing I will say, is Brooke, we've been on the phone. You've seen me get frustrated, and I am not the nice Brice that everyone loves to believe that I am all the time. And so I do want to just give Jonathan that little bit of grace, but it was a little hard to watch this week. But again, the highlight for me always is my girl Anna, because my girl Anna was like, "Ah!"
Well,
Shut
because
up.
sometimes she doesn't say anything. Sometimes you just think she has headphones in, so she doesn't say anything, and you're like, does she even hear it? No, she heard it,
Oh,
and she
heard it.
responded.
She
and I was
responded.
snapping at I didn't watch it on TV, snapping at the computer, being like, good, because I was a little bit tired of her just not responding. Like, I get it. Sometimes you just got to let it roll off your back, but not this time. And I said, good, because it was too much. Like, you did this. This is all your fault. It was a lot of piling on. I'm gonna
the pressure hits everyone differently, but what I will say is, when Anna did say that, did Jonathan have a response? Okay, we know who run that house, Queen Anna. Okay, but listen, Miss Brooke is in Ireland, so I was in charge of the notes this week. I don't have papers to throw. I just at 4:00 in the morning after my Bryson win in DC, I watched the episode. I took notes as I was watching, and then I went back and tried to organize them, and then I had to go back, make sure I was spelling stuff right. So the notes might not be up to a Brooke Camhi.
I think they're great. You sent them to me. They're great. I love them. It's good. And I watched it recently. I think we're good. I think we're going to be fine. This is a little bit different. Please don't come at us. I understand. I don't have 18 pages of notes today. But you know what? You're going to get a little bit more off the cuff. You're going to get a little bit more back and forth. And let's see how it goes. It's fine. It's going to be good.
And again, shout out to Brooke's husband for allowing us to podcast while he is asleep. Okay? Find you a man that allows you to podcast while you sleep. Hopefully Josiah's cousin will allow me to podcast while he sleeps.
Find yourself a husband that will allow you to do a midnight podcast in a foreign country while he's watching something on the iPad and going to sleep. He's watching Bob Ross. He's watching
Bob Ross with the paint and the afro. Now, you know what, Matt?
That does put him to sleep. That's so funny. Okay.
I'm not mad, because time out. Because I'm not mad at that. For me, it used to be the Golden Girls, but
the Golden Girls we watch all the time. The girls are the best.
That's what I used to put on, but now for me it's like Law and Order, not SVU, original Law and Order, seasons like 5 through like 25. I can put that on and I can just go to sleep.
What kind of landscape is he painting?
I love this. We don't get
bacon. Nature.
We don't get bacon. We get her husband this week.
Today,
what's the TV show that you watch that you could go to sleep to?
What do we usually watch to go? The Golden Girls is thrown out a lot. Something HGTV. We're very big into, like, there's a House Hunters, but then I get very invested in the House Hunters and I can't go to sleep before the episode is over because I need to know if it's 1, 2, or 3, and it should be 3, and they usually pick 2, and that's a mistake. Or like Love It or List It, and they should list it and they love it, and we're like, why are you loving it? It's still only 1,400 square feet, and you've got 7 kids. You're Scott and Lori, you've got 8 sons, and you need more than 1,400 square feet. And David showed you a house that was 5,700 square feet, but you got to love it because Hillary just made your kitchen better. Stupid. Anyway,
you know why I had to stop watching House Hunters though? Because the house that they would pick, I always hate when we would come back for the update and clearly like they haven't moved in yet, and you have like lawn furniture. Like you can't come back in 2 months. You can't come back in 2 months when they furnished it. Like, I want to see the house when it's furnished. So I have to also
furnish it. Like, just get it furnished. Like, no one should be bringing lawn furniture into their house.
And
I mean, I guess if
they do it all the time. And I used to be like, you know what, House Hunters, I'm putting you on pause. But listen, we start the leg off. Jonathan and Anna depart first, followed by Brett and Mark. Then Alyssa.
I don't need to do my thing. You go.
Yes. Then Alyssa and Josiah. Now, mind you, you got the times, girl, but it was 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, I don't have time to get the times. So y'all fill in the blanks. Okay. Followed by Carson and Jack. And then finally, Han and Holden. Their travel routes, what I did love, all the teams flew to Naples, Italy, and then to Frankfurt. Now, I did put a note in that Brooke said, don't ever get a connecting flight in, is it Frankfurt?
It's Frankfurt. No, it's Frankfurt. You're
Germany.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then they took a train to France. And despite their straggled departure times, all the teams ended up on the same flight, and team being an equalizer for everybody. I also love during this part of the episode, I think it was like Anna and Han were sitting next to each other, and I felt like Anna had on like her game face, like, because they all were like really, really close. I think Han was looking out the window, or Holden was looking out the window. And it's like, I was thinking like, that actually would stress me out. Like, and I think Brett and Mark were like, oh, we love looking at the different places in the thing, because I feel like at this point in time, like, one of us is going to win $1 million, right? Like, we have to kind of like lock in a little bit. And so like, it would have really kind of sort of stressed me out a little bit. I feel like they then, after they got off the train, I just have the task, but they had at the Palace of Europe, teams had to identify 4 countries that they had visited, that the members of the Council of the Europe, they were the Council of Europe. Now I said, oh, we're definitely going to get a flag episode, because then I was loving how would you know? You didn't know. You had to pay attention. Also,
well, but also, like, how many countries have they been to in Europe? I mean, Japan's not going to be your answer. And then, like, anything in Asia is not going to be your answer. They haven't been to Africa. Like, what European countries have you been to? It's basically, where have you been in Europe? So everyone seemed to have a really easy time with it, unless your name was Josiah. And then you just started picking, like, the UAE, not in Europe. Like, what did they say? The Philippines? Did they go to the Philippines? Not in Europe. Like, just, where have you been? And then, smartly, Alyssa's like, well, did we actively race in Germany because we were just there? Yes, you did. And that's also in Europe. And so everyone seemed to get it pretty quickly. Alyssa and Josiah, Carson and Jack, Han and Holden, Jonathan and Anna answer correctly on their first attempt. Alyssa and Josiah arrive as the first team is leaving. It took them a little bit of time because the UAE is not in Europe. And Brett and Mark get lost. Not their day from the get-go. It's not their day. But I do like the fact that it wasn't, they were behind the whole time, because as you see later in the episode, they do catch up. I opened the window earlier because we were doing our Brett and Mark, spoiler alert, they go home, like exit interview. I figure at this point, if you're watching this, you know who goes home. And fun fact, in May in Ireland, they apparently have mosquitoes, because one of them has flown into our hotel room, and I just see it sort of like going by. I will not go to sleep until this thing is out or dead. Just saying. So if you see me going like this, it's because I'm following the trail of this tiny little bug that had flown into the room. Okay, sorry. Back to you.
No. Now
I'm just here for the commentary.
Listen, I'm here for that. Now, after they were able to identify the Europe countries that they went, they got a clue. And was this to the cheese, or was this to the Roadblock?
This is to the Roadblock. And so 2 things that I found interesting about this. So Josiah and Alyssa have this express pass, and the Roadblock here is the head-to-head. So now the head-to-head, this is I want to say the 3rd time that it's ever been used. This is the only good time I believe it's ever been used. The first time it was used right before a pit stop. When you finished the head-to-head, you got to end the race. And so basically the person who lost the head-to-head was out. The second time the head-to-head was used was almost the exact same thing. It was used back in season 31, I want to say, when it was like Big Brother versus Survivor versus Amazing Race. Also the same kind of thing, basically at the end of a leg. And if you lost the head-to-head, the last person to finish the head-to-head was out. This, I feel like, was good job, Amazing Race. Good use of the head-to-head, because it wasn't at the end of the leg. Even if you finished last, your penalty was 10 minutes, and then you got to keep going.
What I did like, though, if I got a fast pass, my fast pass, I should be able to fast pass.
I actually kind of thought they should be able to use it here, and just they could skip any task. But I do like the fact that the Amazing Race specifically said the express pass cannot be used on the head-to-head, which answered my other question. And Josiah and Alyssa has it. There it is. Damn it. Had to participate.
They had to do it. And again, what I also loved about Han and Holden were they weren't the first person to arrive to the Palace of Europe.
Right.
However, because this is a foot race, they got up in the building first. They were able to get in and out, which led them to get to the roadblock first. And so Han and Holden were there first. And so it's jousting. And I also feel like, hold on. Wait, where you go? Hello, I'm Brice Izyah. Welcome to my TED Talk. My amazing, talented co-host who is up well past her bedtime in Ireland always says that if you make it long enough in Amazing Race, you will get a task that is made for you. Now, will you do good at the task that's made for you? Questionable, but you will get a task made for you. And when we saw that it was jousting the way, I was like, oh my God, I know the Dragon Dungeon Brothers are going to kill this. However, I did feel like after watching this, it's a learning curve, right? And I feel like, if you aren't really good at balancing, and we have seen these teams on surfboards before, and so I automatically knew Han was going to be good at this, and I automatically knew that everyone else was going to probably need some practice, because when we saw them on the surfboards at the rising, like everyone needed some practice, even Han. But I loved this though, because it didn't really like discriminate if you're taller or bigger than me.
Right.
It really kind of sort of came down to practice. Now,
I was kind of worried because she's not large. She's small. And so I was like, is it just going to be brute strength? But no, balance came into it because Han, because of her exemplary, there's not one task for her. This is like 8th task for her because the girl has balance. So she gets on and she's up against Carson, bigger, arguably stronger. And so he should have more power behind the joust. But no, Han says, not today, Carson, and knocks him right off the boat. And Han and Holden are out of there.
Out of there. Then Anna and Jonathan, and then it's Carson and Jonathan. Now, I will say, that's why I got my Jonathan glasses on. I will say justice for Jonathan on this episode, because the clue does read your partner needs, or the person that you are jousting against needs to get you off. In this case, Carson didn't knock Jonathan off.
You think he just fell?
No, it was the person rowing the boat. The people rowing the boat, because Jonathan didn't have his balance, and Jonathan almost hit the guy in the head that was rowing the boat. And so when the oar kind of came to the guy was like, and pushed it back, and that's what knocked Jonathan off. So,
wait, so you're saying Carson didn't actually knock him off?
No, the person that they had like 3 other people in the boat rowing the boat, and Jonathan just didn't have his balance. So his thing didn't even really hit Carson. It kind of like hit the people that were rowing the boat, and to avoid it from hitting their face, the guy kind of stopped it. But you know how if somebody punch you accidentally, or like somebody hit you accidentally,
no,
your reaction isn't an accidental response, right? It's like a get on my face. And so like the oar hit the guy, and the guy was like, ah. And so it knocked Jonathan down. But nevertheless, after Jonathan got his lick back, because it was him and Josiah, and so Josiah went down, and then it was Josiah and Brett, and then Brett went down, which kind of sucked because then it automatically put them at 10 minutes. But again, what I loved about
was it Brett or was it Mark? Was it Brett
or Mark? My
okay.
bad. Sorry. It was Mark. These aren't the Brooke notes, but it was Mark. And so, but I love the fact that Brett and Mark, they did.
Wait. I got it. Oh my God. I need like a nap.
That's how the guy was in the boat when the oar came for Jonathan. Like, that's how he was. Like, you see that response? Yes. R.I.P.
I don't know if it's dead or stunned.
Oh, girl, make sure it's dead.
It's not dead. It's not dead.
Why would you look at it?
Because I blew on it and it turned over and flew away. Okay. I don't want to murder something. Okay,
no,
sorry.
you do. A mosquito? Yes.
It was not a mosquito. It turns out it's a fly. Because I saw it close up and then I blew on it and it flew away. Live in peace, fly. Okay, they're not going to hurt me. It's okay. So anyway, Mark and Brett are last. They get a 10-minute penalty. I kind of, not that I'm rooting against Alyssa and Josiah, because I would never do such a thing. But kind of didn't market Brett to be last. I wanted to listen to Izyah to be last because I figured they're just going to use their express pass and whatever happens next anyway balances itself out. Okay, so I will say this. Remember like many, many weeks ago when Jonathan and Anna had an express pass and we were like, worst use of an express pass ever?
But come on, hold on, wait, let me get some glasses. Because let's talk about it.
I'm gonna now say that was the second worst use of an express pass.
Well, okay, so let's talk about it, right? Because I still think Jonathan and Anna prematurely used it. However, their decision to use it was executed correctly. And
what's
now,
the opposite of prematurely using it? Like post-maturely? Like what?
yes,
The other extreme is what happened here. Josiah, we love you. You need
we
to
love
listen to your
you.
wife sometimes because you should never have even tried the cheese. Taste the cheese. I would have eaten the cheese. Who doesn't love cheese? Eat it. Love it. Spend 5 minutes. What are you doing? Letting people, you can't use it after today. So taste the cheese and then get out of there. What are you doing?
Now, although Josiah,
sorry, we jumped ahead.
Josiah, we did, but we're
fine.
here now. But Josiah is my soon-to-be partner's cousin, and my cousin-in-law's mother's son, Miss Debbie. And I don't want to go too hard on Josiah. But Josiah, what is you doing? Now, I do want to say, I get what Josiah was doing. Maybe they were waiting for the detour. They're like, if we can get to the detour and it could potentially, like, I get it. Like, I just feel
but then
like
they used it. Like, either use it and use it right away, or don't use it at all. You used it to just stay at a last place. You would have been in first. Like, it's I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
Race minders are real. I understand. Hindsight is 2020. I really honestly believe that they could win the whole thing. No, now I said that they'll go home next week. I do honestly believe that they can win the whole thing. But I will say that don't wait until you're in last place and then use it. Every other team was there. And Alyssa said it correctly. These teams had 40 minutes on us. Clearly, this is hard. You're not going to jump unless you are a fromagier, unless you are a cheesemonger yourself. You are not jumping over the teams who have been there for 45 minutes. You're just not.
And
That's
so
all
we're
I'll say.
clear.
I love them. Everybody needs a Josiah. Everybody needs an Alyssa. They're amazing. I do think they could win the whole thing. Please don't go home next week. I know I have a jinx, but it's over. It's been filmed, so it doesn't really matter what I think.
Yeah.
If you're on the amazing race.
Hold on, yeah. Here I come.
Hi, my name is Brooke Camhi. I was on season 29 of The Amazing Race. You may know me, you may not. I don't care. Just a word to the wise. Welcome to my TED Talk. Sorry, it's late. If you're on The Amazing Race and you're lucky enough to get picked, and you're even luckier to get an express pass, or as Brice would call it, a fast pass, or who knows, it's, you know what I'm talking about. Be decisive. Use it and use it right away, or don't use it at all and save it for the next task where you can use it and use it right away. Love you guys. Excited to come to Thanksgiving. Alyssa, you and I will drink wine in the corner and drink on this. Use it right away, because otherwise you're just saving yourself from last. And that's also a good way to use it, but you didn't need to use it that way here. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes. Well said, Brooke. And again, so we're clear, this task was le fromage cheese. And teams...
That's excellent French, by the way.
Merci beaucoup. Teams had to memorize 9 types of cheese and then correctly identify them outside the restaurant. I love that a lot.
Now, cheese doesn't love me, but I love cheese. I
don't love all the cheese. I like a couple of cheeses, but I was like, where the provolone? Where's the Swiss? Okay.
You're in France. What are you talking?
Now I knew the monster because we used to get monster cheese, but I was just like, where's the Swiss? But I did like how a lot of the teams were like, hey, you know more French than me, so you're gonna do the 5 cheeses, I'm gonna do the 4 cheeses. But also, again, like I said, the Dungeon Brothers, this was the Dungeon Brothers episode. They were so excited for this cheese. Also, a little refreshing. I feel like a lot of times we're a little hard on my girl Han because she has a race brain and Holden has to, kind of reel her back in. But I think Han executed her big sister duties this episode and kind of got Holden together because Holden was popping off a little bit this week. And again, I feel like we are seeing a lot of the team. We are seeing a lot of the pressure of the teams this week. We see it in Alyssa and Josiah. We see it in Han and Holden. We see it in Anna and Jonathan. So we didn't necessarily see it in Brett and Mark. Maybe we should have seen it a little. maybe the pressures, but we love them. But it was just like really interesting.
I'm gonna say something about Han. First of all,
Okay.
I think she listens to us because it doesn't matter now. This happened before we were talking about her, but I will say she has changed her mindset. Like we have said a million times, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be passable. And this week, her feeling was, I need to get over the fact that I'm a perfectionist. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be good enough. Good. I think
That listen, they're my
they
dark.
could
I
win
mean,
the whole thing.
they
Yes.
really could. And
this is the biggest underestimation I ever had of a team. Like at the beginning, I was like, they'll be fine. They're young. They're like, they don't have a ton of life experience. They look like they're just gonna go in and like he's like very broy. They're gonna have a good time. No, I was so wrong, and I'm so glad I was. I have such a love for these two. Like I had no idea with like the military background, and she's like a genius and a perfectionist, and they're just such a well balanced. And they're
They
fun
really are.
when they bicker, they know to step back. And now the one thing that I think that she like was going to be like a downfall for her, that everything needs to be perfect, she's come back and said it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be passable. I still think maybe it's Josiah and Alyssa, but I really do think Han and Holden have a chance to take home the entire. It's probably the Dungeon Brothers. I don't know.
It could be the Dungeon Brothers because listen, the Dungeon Brothers showed up. They showed up today, but also
they do everything great. Yeah,
I mean they really do. But back to Han real quick because Han be one that the Instagram, and I love her. And yes, at the first look of Han and Holden, I did say I could see them going home early, or I could see them going very far. So I feel like it was a 50-50 chance. And after
wow,
the first episode,
that is a very decisive take.
Yes, I use my fast pass. Okay, I'm going to use it.
That's a thing at Disney World when you want to cut the line.
Yes,
that's what.
And so how is this not a fast pass?
Because that's the thing at Disney World.
It's the greatest
place
on
earth. And in the
earth.
country of Zamboni. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, okay, but listen. Okay. Well, maybe if Josiah was in Disney World, he'd be opted to use the fast pass. But no, Josiah would have the fast pass and say, no, Alyssa, come on, let's wait in the back of the line. No, Josiah, use it. But kudos to these teams because I don't know how I would have been able to do it. And it was like, at first I was like, ooh, a sample of the cheese. I just was in Costco
I would
the
have
other
said,
day.
sit down. I got this. But the thing is, I wish they were smelling the cheeses more. Like somebody, like a raclette has a very distinct smell. And the other thing that I didn't like that I thought made it harder, in the cheese shop, they didn't show the big blocks of the cheese. They only showed the little. I like that they didn't do this because honestly, if you just seen the big block and the big block, then you're just memorizing what the block of cheese looks like. But the smell, I would have had so much fun with this. You could have taken a seat. I would have had the time of my day.
Here was my issue with production. If you're eating all these cheeses, where's your palate cleanser?
I mean, anyone can get water if they ask for water.
Because sure. I feel like, of course, Jonathan, he got out there. He's like, nope, I didn't have this cheese. It's yours. This is your cheese. And okay, because I was like, Jonathan, not on the cheese. But Jonathan was like, nope, this is not mine. It's yours. Like,
to like all of them. And she's like, you did eat some of the cheeses. Right. Like, what are you talking about?
I didn't do all 9 cheeses, Jonathan. He's like, well, no, you did. Yeah. But I'm like, you got to clean your palate. I'm a palate cleaner because after you have 3 cheeses, they're all going to
you're blown out. Yeah,
they're going to blow together. But I did enjoy this performance. But Alyssa and Josiah ended up using their express pass at the end.
That's great. They should have done it 45 minutes earlier.
Well, I mean, will we call
it
the express pass, or will we call it the
not so express?
Right. Or will we call it the snail pass?
Oh, that's enough. Stop writing.
Okay, no. But listen, I was trying to make a dad joke, but okay, just sorry, Josiah. But and so then the teams have to go to their detour. curious to know what you would have done just off of the field describing what they were. Out to dry or for
Mhm.
the birds?
For the birds
Uh,
in a heartbeat.
see,
Well, only because I thought I would hang out with animals. Like I just like doing everything with animals. I also think for I would probably want to see where they both are. For How to Dry seemed like it was very far away. I don't know if For the Birds was also very far away, but in reading the thing, like I'd probably do For the Birds. Yeah.
see, I am, when I get stressed out or
I
when
do like to clean.
I like to clean, I like to do
Me too.
laundry. I would have liked to been out there with the aunties, so I automatically was like,
And that one's
my
much more straightforward. But honestly, if you had said, Brooke, let's do this one, it's not one that I would have pushed for the other side. I'm like, all right, if you want this, like it's straightforward. You know what you have to do. There's no trick to it. It's clean the stuff. You move the stuff. The other one had like a couple of little things. So you know what? If you had said, let's do the laundry, I would have said, okay.
Okay. You would have said, okay, I wouldn't have been
Yeah.
the worst teammate.
No.
Okay.
No, never. You'd never be the worst teammate. You would not have made every mistake. You would not have done everything wrong. It would not have been all your fault.
I would have got some cheese too. But so I would have just instinctively wanting to do Out to Dry, but watching the bird's nest, I would have wanted to like, and also how cool is that? Now again, I'm not the Brooke type of note taking. However, there's a bird that's in France that they help create these nests so that they can lay their eggs. Like how can I volunteer to have one of those nests on my car?
On your car?
Because I feel like it should be a tax credit, and I also feel like I should be able to park in a handicapped spot if I have a nest on top of my car. Hear me out.
This is amazing.
Because I'm helping the environment, and so I should have prime parking on my car to get back home to where the nest is comfortable.
But those poor birds are just...
Well, while I'm driving, I would just put a little thing on the top so the eggs don't go, and then the mom
like
and dad
a little cloche on
a
top
little
of
thing, and then the mom and dad can have some free time because sitting on a nest is a lot of work. And so then when I come back home, they were with Uncle Brice, and then come back home and I get parking right in front of my house because, okay, this isn't about the Mason race, but we can go into a little personal gripe.
But I would like to have that in the outdoor space of my house because I think that's cool. I've got all these, like I've got a menagerie of animals that I've now rescued from around the world, but we need something high up. So I like the nest. I love birds. I think they're cool. I do think the washing was probably easier. Most teams went to go do that. The only little teeny group I have with Mark and Brett, which is tiny because I love them and I'll never say anything bad about them, is when they did their nests, Josiah and Alyssa show up and Mark and Brett and Josiah and Alyssa get a check and Mark and Brett was like, oh, maybe we should use all of the leaves that they gave. Like, yeah, they're giving you a pile. You use the whole pile. Like, what are you doing? You don't stop halfway through.
Sometimes it's not always like that.
I mean, but it looked puny in comparison. You need to use all of the twigs that they gave you. They fixed it quickly, so it's fine.
Now, remind me this, because again, it was 4:00 in the morning. I was in DC at my hotel room at the desk taking notes. At that time, when Josiah and Alyssa came, I felt like Mark and Brett were like, do you guys want to work together? Am I tripping? Was I delusional? I felt like they almost kind of sort of offered that. And I remember being like, what are y'all doing? No, we don't
I don't
help.
remember hearing that. But that being said, it's possible. I don't know.
Okay. And so I was
I think they thought they were 4 and 5. I don't know if that's the case because I think that they said that they thought they were racing for last at that point. And then Alyssa and Josiah showed up and they were like, okay, well, sorry, you're going home because we're nailing this and getting it. Alyssa and Josiah got it first, but just by like a hot second. And then Alyssa and Josiah find a gentleman in his backyard and they're like, can we get directions to where we're going? And then Mark and Brett are like, can we have the same directions? Actually, no, we're just going to follow them. And frankly, love that. I would have just followed them too, but just followed them better because they ended up getting lost.
Because they waited.
And this was their downfall. Mm-hmm.
We talked about this on the exit interview, but again, very similarly to Pops and Jeff, when Jeff almost got his arm taken off that door and they hesitated, right? Sometimes at these pivotal points, I really do feel like you got to go for it. If it's going to make you lose, then at least you could say, like, I jumped off the bridge to like go for it. And immediately I would have just followed Alyssa and Josiah, because what are they going to do? But also, I've kind of felt like the way that father and son was like out there on the gate, I felt like Josiah and Alyssa was like, because Josiah was like, we're in a race. I felt like he was implying like,
Don't help the other.
you don't need to help them at all. Because
That's fine. They weren't going to ask you anyway. They're just going to follow Alyssa and Josiah, which is, it's a move, and it's a smart move. And I really, one of the things I hate more than anything is when people on the race are like, they're just following us. Like, you're going to the same place. Like, they're not following you. They're going where you need to go. So enough of this.
Well,
but in this case, they were following.
On Lulu and Lala season, I feel like, and I forget what team it was, but I feel like during that season, a lot of the teams were habitually, did I use it right? Habitually following each other. And that was annoying that season. Now, on this season, we haven't seen that a lot. And so I was not going to be mad at Brett and Mark for following them. But then over there on the dry outs, Carson and Jack, Han and Holden, and Jonathan and Anna chose to do that. Is he sleeping?
Okay, sorry, to the other side. So with the cleaning side, yes, Carson and Jack are doing a great job. They're having so much fun talking with the grandmas in France.
Nazis.
Okay, sure. And then Jonathan and Anna and Han and Holden are on that side. Is this the part where Jonathan has told Anna that she's done everything wrong all day? Or was it after this? Was it before that? I feel like the one thing that really bothered me about this, Anna, I'm a big Anna fan, right? Like, and I keep saying Anna versus Anna because I'm not actually really sure, but respectfully, whichever it is the one I'm going to say all the time. And I don't like the fact that at the end she was like, I made mistakes today. I did that. And she was like taking responsibility for things that she really didn't do wrong. I don't know if it was just like the path of least resistance in that particular situation, but I think that thing bit me. I think it is.
You should have killed it. You should have killed it instead of.
I was trying to be good and kind and nice. Anyway, long story short, too late. Carson and Jack do great. I think they finished the whole thing first. And then Alyssa and Josiah show up second. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Carson and the Dungeon Brothers finished first.
And they're going to Finland.
And they're going to Finland. I've been to Finland. Oh my God, it was so much fun. And it rained the whole time that I was there. Only time it didn't rain was at night. And it was like the greatest time because it was like the last leg of my European trip. And all day, me and my friend, we would just sleep. And then at night when it would stop raining, we would go out. And it wasn't really like much to do, but like I had so much fun in Finland. But anyway, I just loved Alyssa and Josiah because, again, we have seen them this episode. They have had an episode, okay? They used their snail pass effectively, not the fast pass. They were stressed out. But yet through it all, they still were uplifting and supporting each other. And again, thinking that they had fallen to the bottom of the pack. Then Phil tells them, you are number 2. And they are shocked.
You know what I love about them is that this is the first time I feel like they've disagreed on how to do something or when to do something or what to do next. Maybe when they were doing like the ninja thing, it was a little bit, we should try a little harder. But this is the first time where like Alyssa's or either one of them, Alyssa, like, we need to do this. And Josiah's like, I don't think so. But even when they're not seeing eye to eye, they're still so respectful of one another. And Josiah, to his credit, at the end is like, I love you. You're amazing. Like, he looks for any excuse that he can to build up Alyssa. And you should really be part of this family. If his cousin's anything like him, come to the wedding.
Oh, I'm saying. And then listen, although Anna and Jonathan, they didn't have no easy week. Jonathan thought they was in the back all episode. They get there and they're number 3. And again, is Jonathan happy? No. Because is he number 1? No. But again, Anna takes responsibility. And like Jonathan is sitting there like,
I don't think she should be taking responsibility. I don't think she did anything wrong.
I don't
because
think
at some point Jonathan's like, let me take over. She's like, for what? You're not doing it.
Right.
Good on you, Anna.
Again, I do like, she just saying like, yeah. And mind you, I'm cracking up because Jonathan's sitting there like,
He's a riot. He's a
Jonathan's still like,
riot.
that wasn't my
I don't want to
cheese.
race with him, but he's a riot.
She ate the cheese, Phil. Okay, it wasn't my cheese. We'd be here faster if she could identify her cheese faster. Okay, that's like that. Just I don't know why that just took me out. Like the fact that like it. Like, so instead of
Even
being
better
like,
though, I have to give her credit because there's something posted on her Instagram where she's like the battle of Jonathan and
Yes.
Anna. They got a
First
good
of
sense
all,
of humor about it. I gotta
when
give them
I
that.
saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, they having a watch party!" I'm like, when I was like, "They having a watch party." I was in DC, like, and I was like, "Oh my god, when are they having a watch party?" And then Wanda was like, "Did you read it?" I was like, "No, it's just Jonathan and Anna. I thought they're having a watch party." And then no, and then when I saw what it was, I was like, "Oh my god, it's hilarious." And again, we can think whatever we want about their relationship, right? Bish, I'm single. I don't got no relationship. But I like the fact that they can have fun about it, right? And so
Same,
it's like
yeah.
that's all that matters, okay? And
It
just
works
know,
for them. They can laugh at themselves. Look, as someone who is
just
doing
know,
the
Brooke, when
show,
we go to
the
their
editors
house,
knew. I
when we
don't
go to
know.
their
I
house,
don't know that
though,
Jonathan's invited me to his house, but that's okay.
Listen, you my plus one. We just not eating none of Jonathan's cheese, though. Okay, we're gonna let Jonathan. Oh, you had the cheese, Jonathan. We don't want none of it. But again, they're still.
I will bring a very nice cheese platter. I will identify each cheese very clearly, so there's no question. That's fine.
And then we want to see the sock drawer. I do want to see the sock drawer. I want to see how organized it is. But listen, but what I'm saying though is it wasn't a great week for them, right? Like we know when they're having a great week, but
No, but the edit is
still,
real and they can laugh at it. That's important. You need
right?
to be able to laugh at yourself and they can laugh at themselves. And I'm a big fan of that because I too was edited not
Okay.
but you
listen.
learn, you live, you laugh. It's fine.
But what I am saying though is they weren't. Jonathan wasn't laughing. Okay, and guess what? They still got to number 3. Like this is such a close race. And Han and Holden, they killed it this episode. We saw Holden not like Holden's composed self this episode, but they still were able to pull it together. And so, although Brett and Mark couldn't figure out that the bird's nest zip ties had to be at the bottom, even though I do feel like, I love the judges. I wasn't feeling this judge though. This judge is just like, like, give me a little more something. Be a little more mean. Give me a little something. He was just like, no. But so they weren't able
I think
to.
you should have had to throw eggs at them every time they got it. Not wait. Eggs. I know eggs are like a hot commodity these days.
$50 for 3. So listen, that's another reason why I should have a handicap
You know
spot. I put the bird's nest.
Stores are right now. Like they used to be like $3. Now they're like $11 for it's like $1 an egg. That's something nuts. Okay, whatever. Sorry.
Why I should have handicap parking if I put a bird's nest on my car. I am trying to stimulate the economy.
A chicken coop in my outdoor space.
Oh my God, yeah. And Brooke lives in New York, y'all.
We're not allowed to have birds out there. It's part of the house.
Well, let's just talk about a little something. Brooke lives in New York, okay? And if you know about New York, and people live in closets, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's so big." Brooke's house is, what do you call? Is it a condo?
Co-op.
Or what? It's
Apartment.
big, but apartment. But Brooke has a courtyard the size of Central Park.
Okay, that's you're overselling it. You're overselling it.
I feel like Brooke has something with the city where she got birds nests out there that have that courtyard. But anyway, Brett and Mark go home, and it really is so sad because I feel like they just got the short end of the stick this season. Their taxi drivers wasn't taxiing. They were getting lost, but however, they was drumming with Ernest. Like, they had a lot of setbacks. But they had a lot of highs, and I think that and
their attitude was always so good. Honestly, I love Ernest and Bridget, but if I were drumming with Ernest, I think I would not nearly have been as calm, cool, and collected as Mark was when he was drumming with Ernest. And I have to say, I love. Oh, there's the fly. Okay, sorry.
So you didn't kill it?
No, I told you I blew on it. It flew away. It was upside down. It was stunned. I went, and it's right there. I'm not going to kill it. Anyway. I will say, I have loved watching Brett and Mark because every time Mark did a task, you saw Brett on the sideline doing the drumming with him or doing the dancing with him. They're such a cute couple. They're so kind to each other. Even when somebody does actually mess something up, there's no blame, there's no harshness. They are such a good, and I have said to Mark, I am you, you are me. We are very similar. Like when someone's in a funk, there's nothing I want to hear. But then Brett is like the comedian who says something that's just so funny that you have to laugh and it gets them out of the funk. So I enjoyed them. I think that if a team is being brought back, they should absolutely get to do this again. They are a joy. And I cannot wait for, I'm going to say us, to toast with them next week. Did you just change the background because it was Survivor this entire time? I was going to say something like a half hour ago, and then I was like, it's late.
Listen,
it's fine.
I've had, girl, you know the day that I have had.
You know,
I've
that's
been
why
in traffic.
but
I
it was
just
a
got
Survivor
home.
challenge.
Yes, I just realized it right now. Okay. So you are the worst podcast host ever.
I thought it would be a hassle for you to change it, honestly. I didn't know it was just a button. But
it's all your fault, Brooke.
I'm
okay?
the worst. I know.
But listen, we're so sad to see Brett and Mark go home, but we did an amazing exit interview with them. You guys should check it out after you listen to this podcast and head over to the Brice Izyah YouTube channel.
Brice does everything for the podcast. And hi, I'm Brooke.
I edit the podcast.
I'm Brooke.
I take the notes for the podcast. This episode, okay. But yes, it's been so much fun. It's sad to say that next week is the last week of this season. We've got 2 episodes to come, and so Brooke and I will be back twice your way.
Okay, wait, really quickly before you go. There's 4 left. Who's taking it? Or what do you think the final? Who's first, second, third, and fourth? What do you think?
I plead the 5th.
Yeah.
Because I really love everybody. I don't know. Like, because
it's not about who you love. It's about who you think
it is. I love everybody. I think everybody can win. I really want to see the Dungeon Brothers win, because I feel like their celebration at the end is going to be like so awkward and fun, and like they're going to miss high five. Like, I feel like it's going to be amazing. I want Jonathan and Anna to win because I just want to see Jonathan smile. You know, Jonathan would be smiling, and you know, Jonathan would be like, Anna's the best partner ever. So like, I want that. I want Josiah and Alyssa to win because Alyssa went to Temple TU, and and Josiah is my cousin, and I just love them. And Han and Holden are just like, they're so gritty, raw, real, and I just love Han and Holden. And so I want everyone to win. So I don't know how to answer this. I really don't.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay.
But I will say that I'll just go off of this. No, I don't even want to say that because I'll go off of this episode. I do think the top 3 teams will be Alyssa, Josiah, in no particular order. Alyssa, Josiah, Jonathan, and Anna, and then Dungeon Brothers.
I don't know. I think Han and Holden are getting in there. I think they're going to be in the final. And a little, I don't know. I really don't know. But I would think that Carson and Jack are going to take it home. That's my guess. I don't know.
I won't be mad. Listen, I'm not mad at anybody.
It was a good season. It's a really good season.
A really
it's like
good
back
season.
to basics. I actually thought I was going to hate the head-to-head. I thought it was going to be bad like it was in the past. It was perfectly used. I'm excited to see what next week's twist is. The last twist, I believe. And I think probably the last leg will have a scramble because that's what they've been doing a lot lately. Any order, so on and so forth. But again, I don't know. That's just my educated guess on, my knowledge of the show. And next week we party. It's going to be great. If you're in the New York City area or can get to the New York City area, there is a finale party. There will be many, many, many amazing racers and at least racers there. And at least I'm hoping and thinking sometimes they are on this side, former Survivor player / podcast host / sunshine of my life. So
Eliza's
come on
coming
down. No, it's you. Come on down, have a party with us, enjoy the last episode. It's gonna be a blast, and I can't wait to do this again next. Oh, and also last things last, I will be doing a reunion with almost the entire cast next week. So if there are any questions that you would like asked of any particular cast members or the entire class as a whole, put them in the comments because we will read them. And I have put together some questions so far, and I, need more. So send me some questions.
and let us know, because soon we will be having Amazing Race FOMO. And so we'll need to decipher what our Amazing Race season of our summer rewatch is going to be. And I definitely think once we pick it, we should do a first episode of like just the cast, like we do like a first look of the cast. So, gets me excited. But listen, Brooke, thank you so much for staying up so late in Ireland. Thank you for being so generous with his time with you, and thank the mosquito for making it exciting. But this has been your Purple Pants Podcast pit stop coverage of Amazing Race season 37 episode 10. We will be back next week with episode 11 and the finale. Thanks for watching. Bye.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple